Hello and welcome to this video where we'll deploy a FastAPI application on Azure Function. This is a continuation on the video before where we've created a FastAPI app for data that we can show CSV data through an API, that through different endpoints you can get different types of data. Now it's time for us to deploy this API into Azure Function, serverless computing. And then afterwards, the idea is that you can connect to any front-end frameworks of your choice. So you can connect to this API, which lives on the web and deployed. That is for creating Azure Functions. We need to set up a few things. I will walk you through the different setup that you need to do. Let's start in the browser here. So here I am in the browser. You should search for Azure Functions Core Tools. Then you come into this page in Microsoft Documentation. Develop Azure Functions locally using Core Tools. Then you scroll down a little bit and you find here for Windows, Mac OS or Linux. And you just follow the instructions to install these Core Tools if you don't have it already. Then afterwards, when you have done that, we'll go into Visual Studio Code to show you how to set up Azure Functions there. And since we'll use Studio Code to build our FastAPI application, and then we use it for working with Azure Functions to develop that, and then deploy Azure Functions through Visual Studio Code up to Azure. Here I am in Visual Studio Code, and what I've done is that I've copied the project, which I will link in the description, where I've worked with FastAPI CSV data with pandas, and then creating a FastAPI application. What we'll do first is that I'll do UV-ven to create a virtual environment, and then source.ven bin activate to activate it, and then UV-pip install FastAPI pandas, and I will need Azure-functions. Okay, that is it. Then afterwards, what I will do is that I will go into extensions here to see that you should search for Azure Functions. Azure Functions. This is the extension. This is a very good extension. Click on this one and install it. Afterwards, when you have installed it, you will have an Azure, not data pilot here. Let's see, Azure. This is Azure. Then you should start with accounts and tenants. Then inside there, you can choose which tenant and account, and then you connect to your subscription. I've connected to my subscription here, Teaching Azure, which I've called it. Then when you have done that, basically you will have this page. You will have this drop down here with a lot of different apps that you can use. And we'll use Function app. For Function app, what you can do is that you can here click Create Function app in Azure. When you do that, you just choose the name of it. I will call it FastAPI Functions. It will create a FastAPI application in Azure. You choose the location. I'll choose Sweden Central. And then you can choose which runtime stack you have. For us, it's Python, and 3.12 works very well. That is it. It will create a Azure Function app for us. You can see here that it's creating the Azure Function app. What it does is that it creates several things. You get a resource group, and inside there you have identity, app service plan, which is needed behind the scenes. You'll have storage account, which is also needed behind the scenes. It takes a little bit of time. Okay, application insights and blob storage, etc. There's a lot of different things. Here we will create the function apps. Okay, while this is running, let's go into the terminal and just take a look into our application and see that it works. We'll do UVcorn. All right, I need to install UVcorn also. UV-pip install UVcorn. UVcorn app. API is called app -- reload to see it running locally. Then click on this one, or command click on this one. This is what we have here. This is the FastAPI app. We go /docs. You can see here's the documentation. You can see, for example, we go into API/sales. Here you can see a lot of data, /API/sales/KPIs. You see the KPI. This is from the previous video where we have worked with the APIs. Now we just run it locally. Let's take a look into our API, how it looks like, just to explain it a little bit briefly here. First of all, we have this lifespan. Actually, I will remove this one and make it simpler. Remove that one. Instead of just remove the lifespan here. And I'll make it just df. Just df. It will load when we start the API, basically. Load all the data. Okay, and I can remove this one. Yes. I save it and just take a look if it works. Yes, it still works. Perfect. Sales work, yes. So we had another endpoint, I forgot. Yeah, country maybe. API/sales question mark country equals to Canada. Let's see if that was the case. No, it didn't. Let me see, just to go into docs and take a look into this one, read KPIs. All right, it's the KPIs that you can filter it. Canada. Yes, it should work because here you can see KPIs, question mark. This is the query parameter, country equals Canada. It seems to work. It's a little bit different from before. We can take like United States. It's different. Now we've seen that this works. Let's take a look into Azure now. Here I am in the Azure portal, and inside the resource, we have different resource groups. Inside this resource group is called FastAPI Functions 2. The reason why it's the 2 here is because I've already done this before when I was preparing. Then I had FastAPI Functions. Now I have FastAPI Functions 2, but it doesn't matter if you're following along the first time. It should be no number here. But here we have resource group. As you've seen before, it created several things. It created a storage account, application insights, the function app, etc. There's a lot of different things, service plan, etc. But the one that is important for us is this FastAPI Functions. You click on this one. What you can see is that we're in Sweden Central, and right now we haven't deployed it yet. If I take a look into docs, we cannot see anything. Take a look into API/sales. We cannot see anything. This is the thing that we haven't actually deployed it. Instead, we have started with creating Azure function apps in the portal using Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code created this function app for us, but now we should deploy the FastAPI app that we have. That is the idea. Let's move back to Visual Studio Code. Here I'm back in Visual Studio Code, and as you see, there's nothing when it comes to function yet. What we do is that we go back to the Azure tab here. Oh, not Data Pilot, Azure. It looks like, let's see, here, Azure. Okay, I go here in the workspace. We have Create Function Project. We click on this one. Then it chooses the folder, and I'll choose the folder that I'm already in, FastAPI CSV Deploy. Click on this one. This is a Python project. And we have an HTTP trigger, because this is what we use when we work with APIs. You have an HTTP request that triggers the function app to run, basically. HTTP trigger. What should I call this? Name of a function you want to create. We'll call it FastAPI function. Okay, underscore FastAPI function. FastAPI or FastAPI trigger. Yeah, function is okay. Then I will use function here for authorization. That is it. I can close this down, close this down, close this down. If you look into here in the Explorer, we have gotten a lot of other files. Importantly, we have gotten requirements. Requirements.txt is important that we put in the libraries that we're installing. Pandas we're using. We're using, what else? FastAPI. Let me see if there's anything. I think this is it. Azure Functions. We need to work with functions. These requirements will be sent when we deploy it later on. that the system in Azure can install these. Starting there, and then we have 2 other files here. We can start with the easy ones. We have func_ignore. This one will ignore several different things. These will be ignored and not sent to the Azure functions when we deploy it. We have host.json here. Host.json, a little bit interesting. We need to add a little bit here. This is the default one, but I will add something called, or actually I can show it to you. I can add it later on to show you. Then the function app, this is the default function app that we get. We will try to run this now. In order to run this one, we can do Ctrl+C to stop the FastAPI application, and I will do func start. This one will run using Azure Function Core Tools, the one that we installed before. You can see the FastAPI function is in this local host. We start looking in the local host. We'll look into that one. And it says this HTTP triggered function executed successfully. Good, it works. However, this is not our FastAPI application. Okay, I will go back here to Visual Studio Code and I will change this one. I will delete everything here. This is just the default function. Let me see, FastAPI function. I will delete everything here. App.route. Yes, I will delete it. Okay. Let's start with at. We'll forward every path method to FastAPI at app.route. Let's forward everything. Route equals to route. This will forward everything, and then methods. All the methods will forward is get. By default, you should do get, post, but actually we only have get in this, but we can take the other ones as well, since we could implement them in our API, in our FastAPI application. All these requests, these methods will be sent forward to our FastAPI application. Async def FastAPI proxy. And the request here, it should take a func, let's see, Azure function as func.http request. And then the context is func.context. Then it returns func.http request, a response, of course. It returns a response. What it returns is basically return, await, func.asgi middleware, and I will take api.app. Okay, what is api.app? Well, here we have from, we have import API. I import this API, and inside of this API, we have this app. Basically, whenever we do routing, we route to this function, FastAPI proxy. What it does is that it waits for this api.app, and then it will handle async the request. We just forward the request to it. Request. And the context. Just like this. And hopefully this will work. Ctrl+C. And then we'll do func start. Okay, I will go back here and restart this one. It seems to work. FastAPI/docs. Not working, but it's in the API. Let's see, API/docs. Yeah, it doesn't work yet. There is something else we need to do in the host. We need to go into the host. And for the host, I will make something called extensions. And here we'll have HTTP route prefix. This one will remove everything. We will not have API here. We will have it as empty. It means that when we can access this API, similarly to when we accessed our local host, when we ran our FastAPI application directly, that I can write /docs to access the docs, /API/sales to access that one. This one means that we route it to an empty string as beginning. Okay, with this, hopefully I'll Control C, func start. And let's see if this works now. Okay, here I'll have slash docs. Yes, you can see it works now. Now when we have fixed the route prefix, let's see if we can get some summary. Try it out. Execute. And you can see it works. And we can see we have this request here. And this is the request URL. We can just copy this one. And you can go into here and paste it in. And you can see it works. Cool. Yes, now this one works. It's time for us to deploy it. To deploy it, let's go back to here. We have, I can Control C this one. And we'll go back to Azure. Let's see, Azure. Is this the Azure? Yes. Okay, now I will deploy this. There's a lightning bolt here. Azure Functions. Click on this one and deploy to Azure. Then I'll choose this FastAPI functions. It says FastAPI functions too. Yes, I click on this one. It deploys to it. Are you sure you want to deploy to FastAPI functions? This will overwrite any previous deployment and cannot be undone. Deploy. You can see it takes a little bit of time to deploy it. Okay, it says it succeeded. Close this one. Now I'll go back to Azure. Go back to resource group, functions. Okay, inside of function app here, we have, this is the default domain. Click on this one. When I click on this one, we'll probably get an error. As you can see, this is an error. And the reason for that is that we need to have the API key since we have chosen function. If you remember, if I go back to Visual Studio Code, here you can see in the function app, you can see here the func level, func.auth level is function. It means that we need to have an API key. And to find an API key, we go into the Brave. And here we see in FastAPI application, there's functions here and app keys. You go into app keys. And what you do is that you copy this one. I just copy this one. When I copy this one, I go into my FastAPI, I go into /API/sales, for example. Now you can see this doesn't work, and I will see /code equals to my code here. Now you can see that it works. Perfect. You can see this one works, and we can also put in, when you go into sales here, you can query other things. We have queried our code, and we can take and let's see, limit equals 5. Look into this one, is quite large now, but if I take limit equals 5, you can see that we only get 5 back. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good, it works. We can look into another endpoint, /API/sales/summary maybe. Same code. Now we'll remove the limit. Here, this is the summary. And you can see the summary here. Let's test another endpoint. /sales/KPIs. We can see these are the KPIs. Remember these numbers here, they will change a little bit when I filter. Let's see, country equals to United States. We need to have a percentage 20 to represent a space. State, you can see that it has become different numbers. If we change to Canada, for example, you can see this is 27 something, and now it's 79 something. Okay, it has changed. Okay, good. This API is up and running. Then what you do is that you can do a request on this. You can do request.get on this link to get the data. That is very cool. You can create an endpoint. You can create a front end with whatever tool you want. Then you just do request.get and you will get this data, and you can consume the data in your front end. You can create tables, you can do graphs, etc., whatever you want. You can choose, for example, TypePy, you can choose Streamlit, you can choose React, you can choose Vue, Svelte, Solid.js. There's many to choose from. Then like now you can mix and match Python with whatever you want when you have deployed the application on Azure Functions now. This is quite cool. To do a very short test, it's very easy. You can just create a Jupyter notebook. I just created it here, test endpoints. And remember to uv pip install requests and uv pip install IPy kernel. And then response equals request.get. And I just copied this URL. And here I have the code directly written here, which is quite bad practice. You should have it in .env and then load it, but I won't show you here. I just make a quick and dirty test here to see that it works. Then you take response.json. This is exactly what we got. I copied this directly from the browser URL. You can see here 7.9 something and here 14 something. You can see 14 something, 7.9 something. Here you have data that you can work with directly. That is super cool that you should, but also remember that these are in strings, and if you want them parsed in a nice way when you're working with this API, this JSON data, then you can use Pydantic to make it parse it really well. Cool. Now this is a way to show that we have consumed our API. This was really fun to work with FastAPI, to take the FastAPI application that we developed in a previous video and then deploy it in Azure Functions. Then we tried out these endpoints. We tried it out both in the browser directly, and then we tried it out in Jupyter Notebook to see that it was working. This is really cool, and what I will do is that I will delete my resource groups. If you saw the credentials that I used, it doesn't matter. But for you, if you're persisting your API or you have an API that you're persisting, make sure to not share your API code just as easy as I did before. Okay, thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you've learned a lot, and I hope that you're able to reproduce what I've done here. Thank you. Bye.